Have you ever stopped to think about what it really means to be a bodybuilder? A lot of people assume it's just about having the discipline to train hard, take supplements, and, in some cases, use steroids. But is that really all there is? Does the picture-perfect image we see on stage or on social media actually tell the full story? The truth might surprise you, and maybe even shock you. When people hear bodybuilding, most immediately think of massive muscles, strict diets, and, of course, anabolic steroids. But the sport goes way beyond that. There's a hidden world of sacrifices that rarely gets talked about, where both the body and mind are pushed to their absolute limits in pursuit of an almost unreachable ideal. Forget the glamorous gym mirror selfies or the post-workout protein shakes. Behind the physique of an elite athlete is a grind of extreme practices, emotional wear and tear, and countless sacrifices most of us can't even imagine. The stage only shows the finished product. It hides a painful process full of life-changing struggles. It's easy to think bodybuilding revolves just around building huge muscles and, for some, using steroids. But that's only scratching the surface. The ideal physique you see shining under stage lights demands way more than drugs and training. It comes at an invisible cost, one that cuts deep into the mind, the body, and even the social life of the athlete. Sure, steroids are undeniably part of the picture, especially in competitive bodybuilding, and there's no point denying it. But reducing the sport to just that overlooks a whole spectrum of sacrifices. What most people don't see are the crushing mental effects, the silent physical toll, and the relationships that break down along the way. These hidden weights rarely make it into interviews or stage performances. Imagine dedicating years to a lifestyle that demands absolute control over your body, leaving zero room for slip-ups. Every meal weighed, every workout pushed to failure, every detail carefully planned. From the outside, that level of discipline looks inspiring, but up close it drains you, piece by piece. Perfection doesn't come for free, it demands a daily toll. And here's the thing, most of these struggles stay hidden from the audience. From the outside, the bodybuilder looks like a muscle machine, always confident, always in control. But behind the scenes, they're fighting constant pain, frustration, emotional crashes, and even inner conflicts about identity and self-image. The bright lights of the stage hide scars you'll never see. This grind also spills into their social lives. Family bonds and friendships are pushed to the limit, because the extreme routine pulls the athlete away from normal experiences, like going out to dinner, traveling, or even just chilling with loved ones. Chasing the perfect body demands isolation, and that isolation takes a heavy toll on mental health. When you look at an impressive physique, it's important to remember, every muscle has a story of sacrifices that don't show up in pictures. If there's a true battlefield in a bodybuilder's life, it's at the dinner table. Forget the social media version of clean eating. Contest prep diets are built on brutal calorie deficits and almost scientific manipulation of nutrients. Every gram of protein, carbs, and fat is measured with surgical precision. The body becomes a machine under strict control, where even a small mistake can erase months of hard work. But living like that comes with a massive mental price tag. Cravings for forbidden foods turn into constant torture. The tiniest slip can trigger crushing guilt and wild mood swings. Many athletes describe an obsession where they think about their next meal all day, or about the hunger that never really goes away. The mind gets just as trapped as the body, turning food into something close to an obsession. And here's where the social impact really hits hard. While friends and family gather around pizza, barbecue, or cake, the bodybuilder often has to say no, or worse, shows up carrying their own pre-weighed Tupperware meals. Food, which should bring people together, becomes a barrier that isolates them instead. That obsession also kills spontaneity. No room for a random dinner out or a last-minute snack run. Everything has to be planned, cooked, and weighed in advance. The kitchen turns into a daily prison where meals aren't enjoyed but endured. Food stops being nourishment and becomes a tool for absolute control. From the outside, that rigidity might look admirable, even inspiring. But in reality, it strangles both the social and emotional side of life. Sharing a meal with friends becomes stressful, filled with fear of going off-plan or anxiety about ruining results. It's a silent price, but one that slowly eats away at the simplest human joy, eating together. In the end, what you see on stage is a body carved to perfection. What you don't see are the nights of hunger, the meals measured down to the last gram, and the loneliness of living in constant restriction. The diet that builds champions also builds invisible walls around their social and mental life. When we think about bodybuilding, the first image that usually pops into our heads is heavy training at the gym. But what most people don't realize is that the routine of these athletes goes way beyond the sets and reps we usually picture. Workouts aren't just intense. They're done in crazy high volumes, repeated day after day, until the body simply can't take it anymore. The result? Chronic pain that becomes part of daily life and injuries that, in many cases, never fully heal. Even when exhaustion sets in, rest is rarely respected the way it should be. A lot of bodybuilders sacrifice precious hours of sleep just to keep up with their diet, work, and other responsibilities. Recovery, supposed to be one of the key pillars of growth, often gets pushed aside in the name of consistency. It's a constant battle against their own body, where the rule is to push past limits, even when the body is screaming for help. And don't be fooled, bodybuilding isn't just about lifting weights. There's another brutal part of the process that hardly anyone talks about: posing practice. For hours, athletes rehearse movements and postures that are meant to look natural on stage, but in reality demand insane physical effort. Each pose is held under maximum tension, almost like an extra workout hidden from the public eye. This dedication to posing shows just how extreme the pursuit of perfection really is. It's not enough to build muscle. You've got to present it in the right way, at the right angle, with perfect symmetry. This practice drains energy, triggers cramps, and adds even more wear and tear to an already exhausting routine. All of this together turns a bodybuilder's life into a cycle of nonstop effort. While many believe it's just a matter of training a couple hours a day, the reality is that a bodybuilder lives the sport 24/7. The gym is only one part of the equation. The rest is made up of relentless discipline, silent sacrifices, and constant pain. What we see under the stage lights is just a snapshot of the process. Behind it, there's an exhausted body fighting every day just to keep moving. The routine beyond the gym is proof that bodybuilding isn't just about muscles. It's about resilience, sacrifice, and a daily grind few would ever dare to face. And if the body is tested every single day, the mind is tested even harder. One of the toughest realities of the sport is body dysmorphia, a disorder that distorts how athletes see themselves. Many bodybuilders, despite having jaw-dropping physiques, never feel good enough. There's always the sense that they need more size, more definition, more perfection. That constant dissatisfaction turns the mirror into a silent enemy. The pressure to maintain peak condition never lets up either. It doesn't matter if the competition is over or the season has ended. The fear of losing size, of looking smaller in the eyes of the public, is always there. It's like living inside an invisible prison, where every meal, every workout, and even every rest day comes with guilt and anxiety. And that pressure doesn't just come from within. Sponsors, fans, and followers on social media expect to see a flawless physique year-round. That creates even more pressure to sustain an image that, in reality, only exists for short bursts of time. Keeping up that facade drains emotional energy and traps athletes in a cycle of comparison and self-criticism. And then, once the competition ends, another powerful enemy shows up: post-show depression. After months of sacrifices, extreme dieting, and brutal training, the athlete peaks on stage for just a few moments. But right after that high comes the crash. The body starts filling back out, the razor-sharp, dry look disappears, and feelings of failure set in, even if the athlete actually won. That transition is devastating for many. Going back to a more balanced lifestyle is no easy task either. After living in such extremes for so long, something as simple as eating a normal meal or taking a day off from training feels like a mistake. Athletes feel lost, as if they're betraying their identity. It's in these moments that many spiral into sadness and isolation. This mental battlefield shows that bodybuilding isn't just a fight against the limits of the body. It's mainly a fight against the limits of the mind. Behind every sculpted physique is a mind burdened with doubt, fear, and deep emotional scars. It's a harsh reminder that chasing aesthetic perfection comes with a psychological cost few are ready to pay. Behind the stage lights and perfect photos are unsung heroes fighting battles the public almost never sees. These are bodybuilders who dedicate their lives to an ideal, enduring pain, sacrifice, and pressure that would break most people. Every jaw-dropping physique we admire is built on a foundation of almost superhuman resilience, fueled by sacrifices no one talks about. These athletes aren't just carved bodies. They're living examples of discipline and determination taken to the extreme. Many keep training and competing even after serious injuries, scary medical diagnoses, or doctors telling them to stop. Their passion for the sport speaks louder, and that kind of total commitment is both admirable and terrifying at the same time. But the lifestyle comes with a price that builds up over time. Organ damage, hormonal imbalances, and long-term health problems are real consequences of this path. The same body that once wowed crowds can later turn into a heavy burden, serving as a daily reminder of the cost paid in the pursuit of perfection. And it's not just physical health that takes a hit. Emotional and social well-being also suffer, since many bodybuilders carry invisible scars from loneliness, pressure, and identity struggles. It's like the glory they achieve on stage always comes with a silent legacy of inner battles that keep going long after the applause fades. That's why it's so important for the public to see beyond the aesthetics. Focusing only on the final physique means ignoring the humanity behind it. These athletes are more than muscle. They're people who chose an extreme path and paid a massive price to get where they are. Acknowledging that is one way to truly respect their journey. The legacy of bodybuilding isn't just in the trophies or the iconic photos. It's also in the stories of courage, pain, and perseverance. We should look at these unsung heroes with empathy, knowing that every pose, every muscle, and every victory carries a deep human cost. Because at the end of the day, the real lesson of this sport is that perfection always comes with a price. So now that you've seen this hidden side of bodybuilding, what do you think? Pretty wild to realize that behind every flawless physique, there's a story full of sacrifice, right? If this video opened your eyes and made you reflect on the price of perfection, hit that like button. It helps us a lot to keep bringing you content like this. And don't forget to subscribe, because here we're always sharing stories that go way beyond what you expect. If you'd like to support the channel even more, consider becoming a member. It makes a huge difference for our work. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Which part of this journey surprised you the most? Was it the insane discipline of the diet, the mental battlefield, or the long-term consequences nobody talks about? Your opinion might inspire someone else and spark an amazing exchange in this community. Oh, and before you go, I've got a special invite. On the end screen, you'll see another video from the channel that you don't want to miss. It ties right into this topic and will give you even more insight into the backstage reality of this incredible world. Don't skip it. Thanks so much for sticking with us until the end. Your support means everything. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and be part of this community that's all about real, inspiring stories. I'll see you in the next video.